Special issues in debt law. Can debt collectors garnish Social Security? Brought to you by yourlegaladept.com, your advantage if you are being sued by debt collectors. If you are an elderly or disabled American or are receiving Social Security for any other reason, you may fear that debt collectors could seize or garnish your income from Social Security. Most of the elderly or disabled need that money pretty badly. So, can they do it? Can debt collectors reach your Social Security payments? The short answer as to whether debt collectors can garnish Social Security is no, they cannot. Section 207 of the Social Security Act provides that none of the monies paid or payable shall be subject to execution, levy, attachment, garnishment, or other legal process. In plain English, that means that the debt collectors can't use lawsuits or garnishments to take away Social Security monies. At a minimum, that means the debt collector can't go to the government, as they would do with an employer, and take the money before you ever see it. Mind you, we're talking about after getting a judgment. No collection occurs without a judgment. We're talking about what happens after a lawsuit that you lose, and we'll come back to that later. However, as with so many things in the law, the simple answer is only the beginning of the question. You need to know more before you can really relax here. The real-life practical answer is a little more complicated. For the real-life answer, let's consider the way money is seized or garnished. As we said above, it starts with a lawsuit and a judgment. Nothing happens without that in 99.99% of the cases. The exceptions really aren't worth considering here. After getting the judgment, the collectors often ask you to pay. They'll send you a letter that says basically the game is up, fork over. It is important to note that they don't have to ask you first. They could go directly to the next step, which is looking for your assets, jobs, bank accounts, other sources of income, property, you name it. On the whole, debt collectors are lazy, or maybe one should say efficient. They often ask first for the money from you, and usually they don't mount a very effective search for money if they don't already have information. That's efficient for them because, as they know, so many of their victims don't really have any money or assets they can reach, but they could find stuff if they wanted to spend the money to do so. And that means you have to prepare for that possibility that they will. Some debt collectors are very energetic, luck of the draw. If they can find them, the collectors often go to the debtors' banks and serve notice of garnishment on the bank, without providing any notice of that fact to the debtor, which is legal, and it makes sense too, right? Since if they told you, you might withdraw the money. The garnishment takes effect immediately. It freezes the account. It doesn't actually freeze the account, though. It just puts the bank on the hook to the debt collector for whatever they happen to be holding of yours, up to the amount of the judgment. Since they don't want to lose the money, they hold on to yours. But your account can still be quite active, and it very likely will be. You might think the bank would tell the debt collector that the money in the account contains some Social Security payments. Or you might think they'd give you a call to let you know what was going on. I've never heard of them doing either of these things, though. Eventually, the bank sends notice to the debtor by snail mail. A few days later, the horrified debtor, that's you, learns that his or her checks have been bouncing and huge fees have been accumulating. Frozen accounts mean no money to pay the checks, even if the money can't be legally garnished. In most or all states, the banks hold the assets that are seized for a period of time before turning them over to the debt collector. The debtor can challenge the garnishment during that time if they have energy and assets to do so. Then it's all supposed to get sorted out, and money from Social Security can't be garnished. But this takes time at best and resources, and during that time, a person of limited income could be evicted or unable to purchase medicine or other essentials, and the banks are charging them fees which they may or may not ever return. A few years ago, there were some horrible stories coming out of New York City about the way this was affecting the elderly. You do not want to leave yourself vulnerable to this process. Instead, take some simple precautions. If you have more than one source of money, including non-Social Security, and if you are in debt trouble, separate your funds. Don't put your other funds in with the Social Security. That risks losing them all, and it risks getting your account frozen and having to spend money unfreezing it. Don't keep them in the same bank. It's banks that get garnished, not accounts. Tell the banker that the only thing going into the Social Security account is Social Security, and make that be true. Sometimes it makes a difference and keeps the account from being garnished. Never give the debt collectors information about any accounts anywhere. If you are in debt trouble, pay with money orders. When should you take these actions? Whenever you see trouble coming. Best to put your money in different places before trouble develops. But it's still a good idea to do if you wait until there is a judgment against you. You just won't have much time to do it then. These actions may not completely eliminate the risk, but they go a long way towards protecting you from some of the worst consequences of debt collector damage. Remember that debt collectors are after anything that you own. Don't tell them about any assets, property, prospects, or hopes that you may have. Better yet, don't let them get a judgment. If you are being harassed or sued by debt collectors, don't wait, get help. Come to our site at yourlegallegup.com and check us out. We have e-courses on specific things like answering the petition or doing discovery, products to help you deal with motions, information on legal research and particular issues, and memberships that bring it all together in a package you can afford. Protect what's yours and don't let the debt collectors rip you off. yourlegallegup.com